Good evening. This is the City of South Fulton Community Zoning Information Meeting for Monday, March 17th, 2025. The time is just after 6 o'clock p.m. We're going to go ahead and get started. First, we're going to go over some housekeeping items. Please refrain from talking unless you are the speaker. Please be respectful at all times. Please keep your questions and comments relevant to the topics of tonight's meeting. Please wait for the presenter to finish before asking your questions and or stating your comment. And any follow-up comments can be emailed to planning@cityofsouthfultonga.gov. Some important dates to keep in mind. All rezoning and special use permits that are heard tonight, those public participation plan reports will be due April 7th, 2025. And then the two public hearings will be first at the Planning Commission meeting on April 16th, and then at the Mayor and City Council on May 13th. And just keep in mind that the Mayor and City Council does not vote on the day of the hearing. It is just a hearing, and then a vote will happen at the next meeting. And applicants must meet all deadlines and attend each hearing in person.
Alrighty, for the public participation portion of your application, all rezoning, special use, short-term rentals, and modifications are required to schedule at least one public meeting. So this is one meeting that the applicant hosts on their own, open to the public. On this slide, you'll see an example of a postcard. So you can send it out via postcard or a letter form. So the addresses that will be sent to you via the staff. We have Form E on here, which is adjacent to the postcard, and this is an example of the report that you have to send to staff once you host that meeting. That's letting us know how that meeting went, how many people attended, proof of those mailings, and an example of what was sent out to the public. Your public participation plan report will be due April 7th, and that's for rezoning and special use. You also have a paper in front of you. It'll say public participation plan instructions. You're also required to send out a copy or confirmation that you sent out those mailers to all of the emails listed on that piece of paper, which will be the planning email, mayor and council, and then the director.
On your screen displayed is our 2025 rezoning and special use schedule. As you can see, we are in cycle 4. Although today is not March 3rd, it is March 17th, the managing director of the department does reserve the right to hold and schedule another CZIM meeting, and that's what is being held today, March 17th. So again, as mentioned, that public participation plan, the public notification and signposting deadline is March 25th, 2025. And then as mentioned before, that public participation plan report that Ms. Echols just went over is due April 7th. And again, those public hearings for the Planning Commission meeting will be April 16th. And then the Mayor and City Council meeting will be May 13th. The first case we have is E25-010, along with a special use permit U25-003, along with the future development plan 25-005. The address is 3565 Roosevelt Highway. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from AG1, which is our agricultural district, to C1, which is our limited commercial zoning district, with a special use permit to allow for a temporary shelter. The applicant is seeking to amend the future land use designation from suburban neighborhood to community live work. This is in City Council District 5. And I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Good afternoon, good evening, and wish you all a good St. Patty's Day. It's great to be here in South Fulton. My name is Jim Hamilton. I'm very privileged and proud to be part of this project. I represent Wellspring Living, which is located at 3965 Roosevelt Highway. There is an exhibit on the board there, but I've got two more that I'm going to show you in just a minute. Wellspring Living has been around since 2001, and they serve people who have found themselves caught up in human trafficking. And what this does is it provides women and youth with trauma-informed care in a safe environment where participants receive education, training, therapy, and tools they need for a lifelong stability and success. Every now and then I get involved with projects that are very meaningful. This one, it really means a lot. So we're very proud to be part of this. The original property on Roosevelt Highway is 6.71 acres. And it was originally part of a zoning that occurred in Fulton County many years ago. This is before the city of South Fulton became a city in 2017. The zoning for this property is currently zoned AG1, which is agricultural with a special use permit to allow therapy type services, which is what Wellspring provides to these participants. And they've been doing on this property for 11 years. So this very same activity is ongoing. We're not changing the activity, but now that we're in South Fulton, the idea is to get it more appropriately zoned in a category that aligns with what our use is on the property. So our request is to zone it from AG1 with a special use permit to C-1 with a special use permit for temporary shelters. Now, just what does that mean? We have therapy on this property. We counsel women and their families that come to this property. It's very secure property, and it currently has the entitlements to build on the original 6.71 acres to build a certain amount of square footage, which is 60,100 square feet. We are currently under construction with that first phase of the project, and so this zoning is asking for an increase in that density, but we're not doing it on the 6.71 acres. We've bought 4 acres from the Georgia DOT at the back of the property. I am going to pull my boards out now just to show you what I'm talking about. You can see this back where you're sitting. But this is the original property, and really the main thing for you to look at is the shape of the property at 6.71 acres. This property is currently zoned AG1 with a special use permit to allow 60,100 square feet of this land use, of these the use that I described before, that's ongoing, been going on for 10 years. Since we got involved, more colored plan, the property has increased in size. And you can see at the back where those 2 ponds are at the back where we're going to put detention ponds, we'd added 4 acres. So the entire property is over 10 acres now. What is going on now, the buildings in white, these are all under the current zoning. This is Cornerstone Building, which is an administrative building, and some education goes on in that building. A youth a residential area and an amenity building, and in these smaller residential units for people who transition from being on the property, getting ready to transition out. So all residential on this property is temporary. Which is the reason why we're asking for a temporary shelter under the special use zoning. The zoning will ask for an increase in the square footage. We would like to go from 60,100 square feet to build out this master plan, to build this future residential building and this other building here, which will allow us to have around 100,000 square feet. So the density is not changing drastically over this particular size of property because we've increased the property size. These are existing buildings are out front that are serving residents now. We currently serve 20 people. When we expand this project, we'll be able to serve 30 people and their families. And again, it's a therapy type session, very highly secured property. One other thing I'd like to mention out here on Roosevelt Highway, we're changing the driveway to be a right in, right out. The DOT wanted us to do that, and we agreed with them. It's a lot of traffic on this road. So you'll get into this property becoming a right turn in, right turn out, come down here, and then you can turn around and go the other direction. As was mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, there's some other meetings coming up. We have invited people in the community who live near us, near our property, to come to a public meeting on April the 3rd, and I will tell you the address of that. Let's see. It's in College Park Library on 3647 Main Street in College Park. So that's coming up on April the 3rd, and the public's invited to come to that. We sent out some notices on that a week ago, so they should be getting those notices. Planning Commission, as mentioned before, Planning Commission is on April 16th, and the Mayor and Council public hearings on May 13th. So that's quite an overview. At the public participation meeting, there'll be representatives from Wellspring that can get into more detail about their program. It's a very rewarding place, gets people back into the mainstream of life. It's a healing place. And again, we're super proud to be part of this. So I will stop right there and see if there are questions.
Thank you for that presentation. Does staff have any questions for the applicant?
I do have one question. I see on the request that you're seeking a amendment to the future land use designation. Do you want to speak to that?
Oh, yes. As I understand the land use, comp plan, the current land use of this area is suburban neighborhood land use. And we're requesting a change to community live work land use. And we feel that's appropriate with the development around that area and where we fit within this part of the city.
Thank you.
Okay.
Was there any questions from the audience? And I forgot to mention earlier, if the audience does have a question, please use the podium and the microphone at the front. We'll greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're serving about 20 people now.
Correct.
What's after you do the entire build out, what will be the new capacity for the program?
I'm understanding, and the CEO will be at the next meeting, but I understand this will be 30. And then there's the youth residential building, these smaller residential buildings, which is the step going out. So there's probably a little bit more than 30 at the end of the day. But we have programmed 75 parking spaces. We've had the fire department look at fire access to the whole site.
Mhm.
We've designed the site with stormwater management systems and that sort of thing. We've gotten a permit not only from the city of South Fulton, but Fulton County for water and sewer, city of Atlanta for water, the state for soil and water erosion control, and that sort of thing. I'll give you more of an answer than you asked for. Sorry about that.
No, thanks. I appreciate that.
All right.
Did you have anything else for us at this time?
I don't think so. We look forward to including the public in our next process on April the 3rd, and I look forward to the Planning Commission and the City Council coming up next month as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case that we have is Z25-011, along with a CDP, a Community Comprehensive Development Plan Amendment, 25-006. The address is 0 and 7210 Old National Highway. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from C1, which is our limited commercial district, to TR, which is our townhome residential district, to develop 107 townhomes on 14.1 acres of land. And they are seeking a future land use amendment from regional live work to suburban to, this is in Council District 5. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Josh Mahoney, and I'm an attorney at Battle Law PC at 3564 Havisham and North Lake in Tucker, Georgia. I'm here this evening to speak on behalf of the applicant, Templar Development Group. And so I want to start with some background on this because how we got to this rezoning and how we got to this land use amendment is a really interesting story. So on screen now you see our site plan, but just below where we have the homes laid out, there is a building there. And that building is the Greater Victory Christian Center, which is a church off of Old National Highway. And the church is looking to build a new building. And they own all this land. The church owns all this land, and they want to build a new building. And so what they're looking to do is just to the north of where the building is now, they want to put in their building. But in order to do that, that takes money. And so what they're looking to do is sell the majority of, or a portion of the land that they own to Templar, so that they can use those funds to build out their new church. Additionally, what they want to do is allow members of the church to live nearby the church, so that they could access the facilities just by walking, or by other means that so they won't have to rely on a vehicle to get to the church. And so that's how this came about. The church approached Templar, and now they're trying to work through making this happen, and this is why we're here today. And so in order to get there, we have to do two things. We have to amend the future land use, and we have to rezone. And so what I'm showing here on screen is the future land use map. What you see in purple is regional live work. So the property we're looking to build on is currently has the land use designation regional live work, and we're trying to change it to suburban to neighborhood, which is the yellow color you see. So we're not introducing a new land use designation into the area by any means. In fact, most of it is suburban to neighborhood. However, we have to do this change in order to accommodate the rezone to TR. And on the next slide, you'll see what the zoning map is looking like. We've got a mixture of different zoning districts in the area, including C1, which our property is currently zoned, MIX, AG, R5, and just to the south of us, on the other side of that property that's zoned A, we've got a property that is already zoned TR. So again, not introducing anything new into the area. So zooming in a little bit on our site plan, you can kind of get a sense of how we would lay the site out. I apologize if this is a little hard to see, but what we're showing here is one entrance off of Old National Highway. And then as you come in, you'd have some homes on either side of you, with the amenity space on your left. And then you'll start to notice there are some walking trails that go between and behind some of the homes. And those walking trails will connect to the sidewalk network that we're installing. And those trails will ultimately connect into where the new church building will go. And what we're looking to do is it's almost like a mixed use development where you've got a church on one piece and then residential on another piece, where the residents will be able to directly access the church's future amenities, whatever they end up putting back there, and in the church itself, simply by leaving their front door, walking on the sidewalk, and getting on that trail to enter into the church. And so we're really hoping that this becomes kind of a really interesting take, if you will, on a mixed use build out. But the way we're going about it is just rezone to TR and have them kind of coexist with each other. And that is all I have for you all this evening. I'm happy to take any questions y'all might have.
Did staff have any questions for the applicant?
I do have a couple of questions. My first question is, the future church building, is that already purchased land by the church?
The church already owns it. They own all this land.
Okay, thank you. And then I know you mentioned the trail connecting. Is there any other amenities that might be offered on site?
So we do have a space dedicated to amenities on the left, right after you enter. Right now, I think my client's looking at a dog park or passive open space, something like that. As for the church property, I don't know that anything definitive has been planned. That's a little further out. Last I heard, there was talks of like a playground or something like that for children, so that they could, they won't have to go up by the street or by the dog park or anything like that to play. They could do that behind the church. A little safer that way.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Did someone from the audience have questions for the applicant? All right. Mr. Mahoney, I did have one question. Could you describe the townhomes? Will they be 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom? How many car garages, and just some of the general features of the townhomes themselves?
Sure. So I know these will be fee simple townhomes, so they'll be for sale. I believe your ordinance requires 2 car garages, so these are going to be 2 car garages. However, I don't have any elevations for you this evening, so I can't speak to the facade designs or the number of bedrooms. However, I'm happy to get that information from my client for you by the time we go to Planning Commission.
Wonderful. And also, will they be 2-story or 3-story?
I think there's going to be two-story.
And they're all front loaded?
Yes.
All right. Did you have anything else for us at this time?
No, not at this time.
Thank you. Our next case is Z25-012. The address is 5290 Campbellton Fairburn Road. The applicant is requesting a rezone from MIX, which is our mixed use district, to C1, which is our limited commercial district, to construct a bank on 1.01 acres of land. This is in City Council District 3. I will now turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams. Good evening, all. My name is Ashley Vanderland. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Dillard Sellers, and I'm here this evening on behalf of our client, Fifth Third Bank. We are really happy to be here and very excited that Fifth Third Bank has selected South Fulton as the next place in Georgia to build its next branch. It recently had applications approved in DeKalb County and in Sandy Springs, and we're really excited about this location in South Fulton. This one's pretty straightforward, so I don't have a lot to add to what Mr. Williams said. We are seeking a rezoning from MIX to C1, mostly because there are some older, outdated conditions attached to the property, and in working with staff, we determined that the best way to get rid of those conditions is to rezone the property. So that's why we are here today. We're not seeking any variances. Again, we are in the South Fulton Parkway overlay. We will remain in the overlay, of course, and the change that we are seeking is consistent with the character area, the community live work character area. Thank you.
Thank you. Does staff have any questions for the applicant? Did someone from the audience have questions for the applicant? All right, did you have anything else for us?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
And last but not least, we're going to circle back to 0 Shamrock Drive, case Z25-004. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from CUP, which is our Community Unit Plan District, to TR, which is our Townhome Residential District, to develop 44 townhomes on 16.53 acres of land. This is in City Council District 3. I'll turn it over to the applicant. I'm sorry, Mr. Arrington, could you hit the mic?
Okay, I'm sorry. Marvin Arrington Jr. On behalf of the applicant, I am with Arrington and Phillips Law Firm at 2200 Fairburn Road, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia 30331. This is also pretty straightforward. This is the second phase of an existing subdivision that was never built out. And the proposal is to build 44 townhomes. And the applicant has met with the residents in phase 1, and I think one of their concerns was amenities, and so there should be amenities. I don't know if that's the latest plan, but there are amenities that are indicated there, and those amenities will be available to the residents in phase 1.
All right, thank you. Did staff have any questions for the applicant? Anyone from the audience have any questions for the applicant? Thank you.
There's green. I just need to know, where is the Cliftondale, oh, I'm sorry, the Cliftondale Overlay District. Where exactly is that? Or what street or connecting streets?
So I don't know that I can give you the full answer to that. That is a designation that is set up by the city. I think originally it was set up by the county. But basically, the Cliftondale overlay has additional standards. And so if you build anywhere inside of Cliftondale, in addition to the standard zoning that the city has, the Cliftondale community has additional barriers or burdens or requirements that are necessary in order for you to build inside of that Cliftondale overlay. I would say generally it's in the Cliftondale community, right? But I could not
Tell me what
sit here
street.
and give you the boundaries. It's
Yeah.
a large area.
Okay, I wanted to know how close it was to my house. Thank you. Do I push?
I just want to clarify that. It looks like the entire property is located in the Cliftondale Overlay District.
Yes, thank you.
Could you describe some of the features of the other townhomes? Will it be one car garage, two car garage? Will there be, are they all front loaded? And some of the amenities that may not be displayed on the site plan, what are some of those amenities that's going on with the project?
So I've got Mr. Elijah Tuck here, who's one of the representatives from the applicant, and he can better answer that question than I can. Make sure your mic is on.
Hello?
To the mic. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. There will have 2 car garages because I do know with that overlay, there were certain requirements and things that the community would like to see more so than not. And one of those would be a 2-car garage, so we did make sure that we did 2-car garage. The plan that we're looking at as far as for architectural renderings and structure is more of a brownstone look. When we spoke with the HOA and when we spoke with the community overall, when we were initially doing our application, one of the things that they expressed that they like brick. So we were okay with that. They wanted the veneer front or the brick. We did include them in the process because they were very adamant. What they did not want was what commonly we see as a townhome, because they had fears that that would become an issue in resale value or would bring in crime. So when we went and did the general architectural renderings, we made sure that they conveyed that look of almost like the ones over in Glenwood, right there behind the Kroger in Glenwood. They have those. West Highland, right there over in Vinings. So those have more of a brownstone look than a regular townhome look that would have just an A-frame up top and siding. So that was something that Cliftondale Overlay really wanted, and we enhanced that to let them know that we would do that, as well as the amenities area, because the current HOA and subdivision that is there does not have an amenities area. When they planned to do phase 2 in 2007, when they built those, it was supposed to have an amenities area in there, and they did not have it. So we included it in our package, and they liked that idea as well. So that is what we are leaning towards. The 2-car garage is a must, and it will be there. And we will have an shared amenities area with phase 1.
I'm sorry if I missed it. Could you describe what the amenity areas are or what the amenity areas will consist of? Yeah.
So we will have a swimming pool, a clubhouse, a nature trail that's going around the pond and going, so this is the pond, and around here you'll have a nature trail going around the whole property and down into this area, because we cannot build in this area because this is floodplain. So we will take the nature trail down through there and come back through.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I don't have any more questions.
I have additional questions.
Okay.
In terms of, never mind.
Okay.
Alrighty, for the public participation part, just to summarize it again from what we talked about, your public participation report will be due April 7th. That's for rezoning and special use permits. Again, it'll be due April 7th. That is the time frame that you have to have all of that information sent to us. That's including the form report, so Form E, That's proof of those mailings, that's attendance, and feedback that you received from that meeting, any other material that you would like to present to staff. Also noting the sheet that is in front of you, it mentions some instructions for the public participation plan. I know you've already mentioned a couple of your dates, but it has to be at least 30 days out in terms of the notice. It has to be within city limits. However, the CDRA director can approve some locations if it is applicable to your application. And then it also talks about making sure you send those proof of mailing and those additional informations to council and to the planning staff.
Thank you, Ms. Eccles. Again, some important dates to keep in mind. As mentioned, that public participation plan report is due April 7th, and then the 2 public hearings will be by the Planning Commission on April 16th and by Mayor and City Council on May 13th. Again, applicants must attend each hearing in person. And as always, we thank you for choosing to see us South Fulton. You all have a great night.
Thank you.